All right, let's do it live on a Friday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Z in a lovely baby blue. I told you winter's over. It's gorgeous out there today.
It's
heating up.
Next week, might even be able to chase the small ball around a little bit, which would be nice.
We're going to have to watch this rain the
listen,
precip is where we're at.
You're gonna have to wear things that you're okay to get in the mud with. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's not going to be ideal conditions.
Snowfall expected tonight?
Stop it. 70 next
Come
week.
on.
You're wearing if my eyes
Enjoy
don't.
the roller coaster. Keep your arms and hands inside the moving car.
We're
at all
70s
times.
next week, dude. Let's just focus on that.
Yeah, by Tuesday.
At America's roller
By the way,
coast.
I mean, this is the Jim Nance collection, is it not?
Yeah. I haven't brought this out in a while.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, you love the Jim Nance.
The
collection.
houndstooth.
It's old school. He doesn't have that affiliation anymore.
No.
It's weird. Like, how did
It's
that
crazy.
not work? Like, he had the pop-up shop at Pebble.
I don't know.
Like, that felt like that should have been something that lasted only forever.
I have a question for you.
Go
Agreed.
ahead.
I mean, duh. With living at Pebble Beach, what a tagline.
Yeah.
How did you're a man with sartorial splendor?
Okay.
How did houndstooth get the name? Because quite frankly, I've never seen a hound tooth that looked like that.
No, but if you look close at the individual, you see the two little teeth. Like you see.
No, I see them.
Yeah.
I see them.
Yeah.
Like those are supposed to be the fangs in the
Yeah,
front.
and then it would go up into the other part is how it would go up into the jaw, as it were. I think that's what it comes from.
Yeah. To me, it looks a lot more like early Atari, like Space Invaders.
Could do that too. They probably, when they named it, Space Invaders didn't exist though.
Fair.
Could be it. I saw Severance season 1, episode 1 last night. The journey is on.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen before.
It is.
It's visually striking.
Yeah, it's
bleak.
one episode, but I was excited to watch a second. We didn't watch a second because it was late. But yeah, it's a one a night. I only got time for. The oldest goes to bed at 10, so you get from 10 to 11 to get it done.
I promise you that when it is time for...
There will come a time where I'm going to want to... Don't give me the exact time because I don't want to even be anticipating anything great. But there will. Your argument is going to be that there will come a time where I'm like, I got to see what happens next.
Yeah, episode 9 and 10
And then,
we'll have to
but I
watch.
just said don't do that.
You knew episode 9, though. You already knew it.
I
It's
did
not new
know that.
information. Yes,
It
I told
is.
you,
Well,
that's
now
the
I'm gonna
season
view
one
that.
finale.
Just give it time. He's going to blow it.
He is. You can't help it.
100%. You can't help himself.
Were you the kid like at birthday parties who was like, "Oh my God, that's a water gun. That's what I got you. Do you love it?" As the kid was opening it.
No.
Oh, Fisher Price
Oh
thing.
wow!
Oh, yeah.
Wait do you see what this is?
I've already told you the season 1 finale is great. That's all I'm saying. You're going to want to watch the next episode after that immediately.
It was good though. It was
there are
really
people-
good. He's it's just such an interesting way to see Adam Scott, who is so great in everything that he's done. I wasn't a big Parks and Rec guy, but when I watched it and he was in it, I thought he was great. He is unbelievable when he shows up in Eastbound and Down. He's unbelievable in Step Brothers. Like every little thing he pops up in, I get very excited when I see him. But this is something I've never seen him do. But it's good.
Did you know
Probably not.
that the reason he got this, that he was tabbed by Ben Stiller for this, is because Ben Stiller thought he was so good in Step Brothers.
He is so good in Step Brothers.
Yeah.
And the perfect antidote to those two.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he's that makes sense. I mean, that absolutely makes sense. So you've got that going on. I'm watching White Lotus. I got 1923 where we're just redoing other stuff we've done, but this far in. And that Sunday, Uncle Baby Billy's back.
I got to tell you,
That's a lot going on.
he couldn't come back quick enough because, to be frank, I'm not getting what I need from Goggins in White Lotus.
Not as much joy.
Stripped of joy.
I did like him in the last episode freeing the snakes. I thought that was fun. Like letting them live.
Yeah, until the reality is this girl should be dead.
This girl should be dead. Yeah, this is the least fun
I don't
Goggins.
like snakes, so I'm not for freeing them. I probably feel as strongly about snakes as you feel about birds. We walked through a pigeon park in old San Juan that had maybe 1,000 pigeons.
Nope.
I was like, Bo would. I said, Bo would hate this right now.
Not going. I just go around.
You could have used.
go around.
They own the park.
Turn around, back straight out.
I'm not in
going
that
through.
park.
Not through.
Yeah.
Going out.
Yeah.
No interest.
No interest.
Enjoy historic San Juan,
anything-
but just not going to do it in that way.
Anything else going on?
No, quiet. Quiet other than
All
that.
quiet on the western
You want to
front.
just do a mailbag now, Gibby? 2 hours of mailbag?
We do have leftovers for later on.
Fire
today.
them up, kids. Get the mailbag going. Get it going. All right. So how does this report happen? Let's just do it. So Tom Pelissero this morning.
Yep.
Reporting that Myles had reached out to ownership and wanting a one-on-one with ownership about his future with the team, is the way that the reporting goes. And then from there, ownership said, you need to talk to Andrew Berry about that. He's a general manager of the team. This is what it reminds me of Bootsy.
I don't like your answer. I'm going to them.
If I hear him in another room going, Mom, come here. Mom, can I talk to you? That means that he either has already asked me and the answer is no, or he knows my answer will be no, and he's trying to circumvent the no with a preemptive yes from her. That's what that means. And that's what it felt like. I didn't like what I heard from the general manager, so I'm going to go to ownership and see if I can get a different answer. And ownership said, we're all on the same page.
Yeah. That's how I read it. By the way, it was a few years ago, but I do recall watching a similar situation happen up near on the lake when something, I think Bootsy knocked something over and you told him to pick it up, and he just like looked right at.
That's what he was. I mean,
right
he was
at
young
Mom
too,
and gave her those twinkle eyes. And Mom's like, "Oh, I'll clean it up for you.
Yeah, I'll help you." Yeah. I think she probably. I don't think she just did it for him. I'm sure she
helped him.
Helped him do it. In other words, she did the lion's share.
I think he just stood there and was like, "Yeah, good job, thank you.
Thanks,
yeah,
I'm good.
Thanks, I'm good. Yeah."
This, by the way, big night for him tonight. He's Catholic, of course, so Lent is full of impact. This means he has to eat fish.
Oh man, the fish fry.
So it's gonna be great.
Oh,
he's already trying to
today, young Gabe.
He's already trying to do like he's like, oh, I can do. I'm just gonna get mac and cheese. I'm like, oh no, buddy, oh no. Now I'm not Catholic. I don't know what the rules are, but I'm just gonna make the rules up right now and act like he has to eat fish tonight because I just want the experience.
I want you to give him fish, and I want you to sit down with a burger, and I want you to eat it in front of him and just go, hey, buddy, I'm not Catholic. Sorry.
I don't know what's going on with you guys.
I mean,
remember all that first communion money? This is the penance.
I had meatball sub for lunch. It was great.
As a Catholic, I would absolutely hate if I had experienced that.
It'd be amazing.
I like just pull out just go get a meal from somewhere.
Yeah.
Pull it out and just, hey.
Sizzling.
How's that fish?
How's that going? You guys remember the video of him eating the lobster this summer, how that went? Poor kid. Jeez. All right, go ahead.
I don't even know what I was saying.
Looking for another answer from someone else.
Yeah, well, it is what it feels like. Look, Myles Garrett is under contract for the Browns for 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of the situation. They're under no obligation to trade him. They don't want to trade him. They have said that. They're in lockstep. It has been that way from day one. And, Jimmy Haslam has Andrew Berry as the general manager. He's the one who makes the football decisions. So Andrew Berry's made this decision already. That's who you would need to talk to. And that's where we're at. And it's an impasse. I think, the timing of it tells me that there's urgency on the Myles side. I think by the way, bombshell yesterday after we got off the air, Trey Hendrickson. So,
dude, go ahead.
So that complicates his market because number one, Trey Hendrickson last year led the NFL in sacks. They're asking for, I think, significantly less in compensation than the Browns were. So that's going to take one of the teams that would be a potential suitor for Myles Garrett out of the mix, is my guess. Number two, he was granted this permission. Myles has not been granted it, and understandably so from the Cleveland Browns side. I think everybody wants him to be here. But also, one thing that I have a hard time kind of just reconciling is Joel Bitonio decided to come back. Joel Bitonio didn't come back because they said, hey, this is a full-on rebuild. We're basically tearing it down to the studs again, and we're going to start over. Joel would have said, you know what, I've done that. Either trade me or I will retire. Joel did not say that. So based on my inference, that tells me that he was satisfied with the plan. We have a draft coming up with a lifeline that has been extended to the Cleveland Browns in the form of the number 2 overall pick.
Yep.
You're going to have a rookie quarterback, I would imagine, picked in that spot that can turn this thing around like, guess what, the previous 2 number 2 picks in the NFL draft did. And people can argue all day long about the merits of these quarterbacks and all of that. the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what you have on your roster. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. So you have an opportunity to get one, take one. And people, Todd McShay just came out with his top 32. Shedeur 16th. Okay, he plays quarterback.
Yeah, he plays an important
It's not like he's saying he's 100th.
No. No, right. No, he's not saying that.
So hopefully you get to a point where he says, okay, one of the reasons why I'd want to go to Houston or one of the reasons I want to go to Washington now is because they drafted a quarterback who's good.
Yep.
So maybe we can get there with Myles Garrett. It's very unfortunate to me that this has played out in such a public way, and it feels like there was the media tour at the Super Bowl.
Yep.
There is now, this is obviously a coordinated
it's
leak.
Yeah, you have legal tampering Monday, so of course, coming out of the combine,
It's just
Ladies and gentlemen, now that he's out of his car and he can hear you. Oh my God!
Oh man!
Are you kidding me with that?
Some people are thriving here. There's no doubt about that.
Me with that
There's
outfit?
no doubt about that. That almost knocked me out of my chair.
Oh my God!
What? And by the way, weather-wise, this could be the last time we see that.
It
for
was
a calendar
so many
year,
layers,
and it
was just
magnificent.
Oh,
Did you get a glimpse of that?
Did you see that? What he's got going on today?
G-Man saw it.
Don't worry, I'm sure it's coming back.
It'll come back.
I was going to say,
it's got
the
to.
catwalk is open.
There have to be points.
Yeah.
Jordan J-Mac just said it best. We need a luminary cam.
No.
I think it's. I think you're good.
No, I think you're good.
No, that was.
It's a good idea. I'm not going to say that, but part of the fun is
the
that there isn't a luminary cam, that you're
that
relying
was great.
upon our reactions. And by the way,
next level's next.
I hope we can get an outcome in this situation that is as quality as that outfit and the entire presentation, the panache that we just saw right there from Senior Swag. So that's what I'm hoping for. Wow,
the text is unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. What did he say? I mean, that really. Oh man,
that's perfect.
Perfection has been achieved. I mean, that's the bottom line right there. That's all it is.
That's it. Yep.
That was
beautiful.
that'll stop your train of thought. But look, I see people saying, "Oh, you don't want." Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, there is not a lot of leverage in a situation like this.
No.
And we've now seen people posit the theory, Aditi, that he may just pivot and write anime. Do anime.
We did see that.
That's not.
That was real. No, I know. I saw it. Yeah.
That he might just go.
I saw. Yeah.
So
I mean, she may know. She was on the sidelines a lot.
She was. So I mean, look. That, I guess, would be his leverage. I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
But you don't get paid when you don't play.
No.
Which doesn't seem like a reasonable outcome. I guess for me, the knowing, and we're using Myles' interviews that he did Super Bowl, he said he would love to go to the Commanders. 1 year ago, he would not, at the Super Bowl prior to that draft, he would not have wanted to go to the Commanders.
No, he would not. No. Mm-mm.
The reason he wants to go there is because they drafted and hit on a quarterback.
Simple.
We have an opportunity to do the same thing here.
Yep.
I mean, he owns like part of the Cavs. Like he's part of
the
fabric of the city.
Yep.
Let's figure out a way, hopefully, to work it out. And the way we're going to work it out is by getting the quarterback. And we have that opportunity. I really think it's so unfortunate that this is being it bums me out that this is playing out the way that it is, the manner in which that it is, and that it is so public, and that it feels, the Browns are just saying, you're a great player, arguably the greatest to ever do it at your position. We drafted you number 1 overall. We've been by your side the entire time. We have extended you. We gave you a contract that was great at the time we gave it to you. I'm sure the Browns would be willing to extend his contract again and give him a new deal that pays him what Max Crosby's getting. But for him to say he doesn't even want that and is not even willing to see that, I think that's hard for a lot of people, at least in my talking with people on the, out in the community. that is hard for people to kind of get their head around. And I agree with it. I really think I want to see Myles Garrett be a Cleveland Brown and be a part of winning here in Cleveland. And we have a chance in this draft to get out of a very bad and very difficult situation.
Yeah, that's it. So the public side of this is what makes it a little bit tough. But we'll see where all of this shakes out. But again, Myles under contract for a while going forward. On the Trey Hendrickson front, while we're there, while you were out, we had Jeff Hobson on. And I asked him, I think one of the last questions I had him was...
They were keeping everybody.
Last question. And everybody I talked to, Jay Morrison, who's really good at The Athletic, Ben Baby with ESPN, Mike Petraglia down there as well, like all the guys that I've talked to over the last year and a half about this exact same thing, kept saying they're keeping them all. And I kept saying, how? How are they going to keep them all? This is...
Private equity is the answer.
Of course.
Appears
we had Hobson on this week, and I go, Jeff, when this is all said and done, who stays, who goes? Because I just don't buy it. I've never bought it. And he goes, I think they're going to keep them all. And then yesterday afternoon, Trey Hendrickson is given permission to go seek a trade from the Cincinnati Bengals. There just wasn't a way to do this as long as they do business the way that they're going to do business.
Here's the thing, though. To me, if you have to make a decision, if you are them in the short term, you have to let T. Higgins walk, know that Joe Burrow elevates everybody around him, sign a receiver that isn't quite T. Higgins money, something, or draft one, draft another weapon in the passing game, whatever it is, and keep Trey Hendrickson. You didn't make the playoffs last year, not because you weren't good enough on offense.
No.
It was because you weren't good enough on defense, and now you're letting literally the best player on that defense go.
Well, Hubbard just retired.
Hendrickson's going to be gone. You think back when they had Jesse Bates back there?
Yeah.
Let him go. I mean,
Mike Hilton's gone.
Didn't Jermaine Pratt ask to be traded as well?
Hilton's done, too. So, he's out. Pratt, I think,
Didn't Pratt get released?
No. But he asked to be traded.
Requested.
Yeah.
He requested a trade.
Yeah. So that's a lot going on. Who do they have to rush the passer?
Nobody. Rock.
So I believe everybody had it. Everybody down there, they bought in that somehow they were going to keep all these guys, and you just can't do that unless you're willing to restructure contracts into giant signing bonuses. And honestly, it would take a giant guaranteed at signing. It's going to take that for Chase. It's going to take that for Hendrickson. It's going to take it for Higgins too if we're going to try to keep all of them. And they just have never been liquid enough to do that.
Yeah, and that's been the issue for them.
Yeah.
That has been the issue for them, and that's why I think when they put that in place that you could do that, they're the team that had to take advantage of it, right? They're the team that needed to get the private equity cash infusion so that they could do all the things they need to do.
Yeah, the Raiders did this. I mean, that's what was put in. They are the poster child for it in this circumstance.
By the way, I know it's kind of a circuitous route, but if that was in place back in the day with the Raiders, they never would have traded Khalil Mack.
No.
And so their organization perhaps looks different. Careful, Glenn. Careful.
Easy.
Okay. All right. Good.
Easy.
These floors can be simultaneously very sticky, apparently, but also incredibly slick.
There is a waxy element that if your feet are wet from rain or snow, baby, you will go.
Yeah, it's like maybe they are sprayed with
a lacquer.
A lacquer that someone might use a cereal varnish to prevent the flakes from getting too soggy. Then when applied to the bottom of a disc.
Anytime I watch that movie, I always, because I've been to Chicago a lot, I'm like, where is he going where there are mountains like that to cut down that tree? Where is he getting in a car and driving to? And it wasn't until I saw pictures from the Hoffs
Wisconsin
spread,
that's what I figured,
that I was like, oh, because I had no idea Wisconsin had that type of elevation change.
It's pretty close.
It is border. Yeah, it's right up the border. Yeah, way you go. But I had no idea that Wisconsin had that type of elevation changes to it. I thought it was more
the flora,
flat.
the fauna.
That's right. Good job.
I do think it's interesting in that film, though, that by the way, what they decided that his whole thing was going to be was a cereal varnish. Who came in was like, you know what? What if Clark makes a cereal varnish that prevents flakes from getting soggy in milk.
That's his eureka moment, right? That was his big invention, was that part of it.
But I'm saying, why? He doesn't actually have a job. They created this, and
just
the fact
the
that
scene,
they created
this is what they picked.
That he is going to be the guy who knows that he's going to make a cereal varnish.
Also doesn't fit at all with the character, who I think is largely dim-witted.
And just a nice guy. He's not
really
a
nice guy. Like, he's not like a scientist who would be in there grinding,
like a chemical engineer or whatever that would. The
no,
job
that's a
would
good
be.
point out of you. Yeah, would have been better had he worked in he could have still worked at
should have worked in advertising.
He could have in advertising. Could have worked in marketing for a cereal company if he wanted to. Anything like that would have worked. Yeah,
and you could see him just like explaining how great this varnish is.
Yeah, that I buy.
Yeah, not that he came up with it.
Also amazing that they did the three originals, all three different kids every time. Different age ranges for the kids every time. And I think all of them work. European's the most awkward because I think they really messed up on the casting of the two kids. But the rest of it is great.
Yep.
But they crushed the casting of kids on the first one and on the third one.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. All right. ESPN draft analyst Jordan Reed had a call with the media on Wednesday. Let's have a listen. He was on with you at the Combine, did a fantastic job. Here he is on the idea of Shedeur to the Browns at 2.
So it would be a reach at 2, just because he is my number 15 overall player on my big board. But quarterbacks are always going to be pushed up the board just because of how significant the position is, and need is always going to cause a lot of teams to reach on these quarterbacks. But with Shedeur, just talking about the fit with Kevin Stefanski, I think they fit perfect in the offense with Stefanski, just because he has a lot of experience with it, especially with Pat Shurmur in his time with Kevin Stefanski. They run a very similar scheme. He hasn't done as much under center stuff as what would be asked of him on the NFL level, but as far as the concepts, they run a lot of similar concepts as far as some stuff down the field, some play action stuff that Colorado was able to do this year. But Kevin really likes those guys that are extremely accurate, that can play on time, which is something that Shedeur definitely has to clean up, that it needs to improve on the next level. But as far as the fit with Kevin and Shedeur in that offense, I think it fits really well, but it would be a reach at 2. But when you need a quarterback, there's always going to be teams that do reach on that. And I think another added factor into this is that they have to win next year. So I think they have to come out of this draft with a quarterback at number 2 overall. But I have Cam ranked as my number 9 overall player and then Shedeur as number 15. So there's not a significant gap, but there is a gap between them two right now for me.
I like what you said earlier about it's not like he has them 62nd and 80th. Like
right.
116, one's 9 or 15-9, whatever he said. Kuiper had him 3-4. Like they're, it's the most important position in all of team sports, kids.
And originally, DJ Daniel Jeremiah had him, I think, 11 and 12, and he has since Shedeur has done nothing. He's dropped him like 3 and then 3 again, so I think he's around 17, 18. But I mean, still top 20. And he's a quarterback.
Yeah. Here's Jordan Reed on Shedeur's personality.
I will say this, whatever your preconceived notions are about Shedeur, you can't really, or even about his dad, Coach Prime, you can't really allow that to cloud his evaluation. And I think that is what's happening a little bit with Shedeur. And, he straddles the line of, being very confident. Sometimes it comes across as cocky to some people, but I love quarterbacks that are extremely confident, and that's exactly what he is. But I don't think his evaluation or how people feel about him is elevating Jackson Dart just because their evaluations are completely different. It's just a matter of which one do you like as the second quarterback in this year's draft. And I see Shedeur as being the second quarterback off of the board right now behind Cam Ward. And then Jackson Dart is that next guy off of the board. So their evaluations are very different, and they're separate. And that's what you have to remember. But there are some preconceived notions about Shedeur, and you just can't let that cloud your evaluation of him as a prospect.
I did see this from, let's stay on the subject of Shedeur. Coach Prime on the Too Legendary podcast, his son's podcast, Too Legendary, had this to say on why Shedeur gets hate.
Why are you the only kid that hate no? Why are you the only kid in the draft, potential first picks or whatever pick, that they hate on? Why are you the only one?
Because you prime time.
No, because they want you to slide to their team. It's game. It's game. But we know the game. We Sanders, baby.
We talked about that too, like that side of it. Of
course,
people hoping he slides. Would the Raiders love for him to sit there, be there at 6? Of course they would. Yeah.
Yes, agreed. Listen, again, he's a very talented guy. Cam Ward is a very talented player. You got an opportunity to get one of them. We all know what I think. And then, look, we don't know what the Browns think is the most important thing. These aren't scores. This is everything we've said on here is our opinions because we're not in these meetings. We see the people going by.
We see them walking by.
They're going into meetings right now.
Tight-lipped, baby.
I give little symbols like,
that time they didn't even look.
They don't even look. They know. They already know. The message has been sent and delivered. Like this is where I'm at. If you like both of them close to equally, there it is. There's
a man who'll look.
There's a guy.
That's a guy right there. That's a good human.
That's a great human.
Great human.
Bubba. Fine man.
Thorough. 27 years ago today, or yesterday, Lebowski.
Really?
Yep.
I might have to throw that on the old telly tonight.
That might be.
I don't know if I'll be honest with you. I don't know if Miss Kay's seen it. I'm gonna have to ask.
I think that when we watched that,
yes,
the first time,
there's a man for his time and place,
and the amount of times we watched that in the time and life that we were in contributes to our beloved feelings for it.
So, I would say, number one, it is an incredible film that holds up regardless of our nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
Number two, it is also a film, and this is something that's gone away.
Yeah.
It is a film that gets better with each viewing because you pick up little things. And you know some of the things it's a movie that gets better with each viewing. I think that you and I. And I could be proven wrong right here in one instant, but
yep.
Or they could be outliers also.
Yep.
In my experience,
God bless.
Get this guy in here.
Hey,
Come on in here.
Come on in. Let's chat about what he ordered at Elmo's that night. Go ahead.
I'd like to know what he ordered at Elmo's that night. I'd like to get his Senior Bowl impressions.
We did that. He was in.
I wasn't here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was a great interview.
Well, of course it was because I wasn't here.
Legendary, award-winning.
What award did it win?
Huh?
You said award-winning. What award did it win?
I think they put it up for one.
Definitely up for an Emmy.
It's up for a Telly or an Emmy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a radio Emmy.
What are you gonna be proven wrong about Lebowski?
At least as it concerns with my wife and many of her peers, the younger generations don't like. I would love Lebowski. I'd watch Lebowski 15 times in a year.
Yes,
20 times in a year.
Yeah,
didn't care. Like, let's watch Lebowski. Let's go.
Yeah,
you don't get a lot of repeat watching of films with the younger generations.
No, because they have everything on demand, and they have a billion streamers and a billion channels and whatever they want to do, whereas you had 30 channels. You had whatever you had in your VHS collection or DVD collection.
Thank you, Columbia House.
And that was it. Like,
agreed.
So, there's nothing on. I'm going to watch Lebowski again. That culture is done. It's
gone.
done.
But it's sad.
Now, I will say that it might be coming back. One thing I've noticed, Beamsy and Bootsy, they will run through. They'll watch Boss Baby. They've seen it. He pops it in once a week. He watches Boss Baby, loves it. And then
Bootsy does.
Yeah, oh yeah. And then they. The other thing that's interesting is every morning they watch SportsCenter, which that was something that was.
We talked the other day about this.
Yeah, every morning.
Got to get their highlights.
It's on. They put it. They're up at 7, and they put it on at 7. They watch it all the way, and then they go get in the shower at 8, and that's their morning is they watch SportsCenter. So they're throwbacks in that sense. Yeah. So anyway,
it's all coming together.
But anyway, yes, I think the rewatchability part of it is something that we don't do as much because there just are so many more things to watch. But I just had this experience. It was last night. This is still an apex experience for me in terms of being entertained. So the kids were still up, so I was watching the Blue Jackets game, and then when that would be disinteresting or go to break or intermission, The Godfather was on one of the showtimes. So now I'm watching the last 30 minutes of Godfather, which is probably as perfect a cinema that's ever been created. And then that followed up with Godfather 2. So now I'm watching hockey and The Godfather 1 to 2. How do you not win there? I mean, that's an hour well spent right there. But you're right. They don't do that anymore because there's an on-demand issue to it, I think. I wonder if NBC is old enough to. I'm curious because we did Under Siege this week. We've done Commando. We've done Die Hard. We've done Beverly Hills Cop. I wonder how he would take to Lebowski. I think he'd like it. I feel like he'd like it.
I do think some of the humor and its origins in a natural growing substance would maybe go over his head.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think we're a year or two away.
Yeah, I think we're away from that. I agree with that.
Oh, my God. This is unbelievable.
What?
We convinced our 12th grade political science teacher to let us watch The Big Lebowski in class by telling him it was about a Vietnam veteran and his friends.
Well, Walter Sobchak.
Not true.
Yeah. It's not true.
I mean, when she's on the glider.
Oh, man.
When Jackie Treehorn shows up. Come on.
Jackie Treehorn.
Jackie Treehorn's unbelievable. Ben Gazzara going Roadhouse into Jackie Treehorn. Come on. That's a heater. That's a big-time
Quiet
heater.
Village Community.
That's
or
right.
Quiet Beach Community.
Quiet Beach Community.
Quiet Beach Community, Lebowski.
He's not going to stand for it. Yeah. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospital, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Legal tampering begins on Monday. We'll take a look at the biggest and best free agents that are out there. We'll take a look at that. We're going to open the mailbag as well. We will also continue our tour around the AFC with the Baltimore Ravens. Mr. Zagura, before I go to break.
What's the last bullet?
We can get to it.
We'll do that. We'll do that coming up next. We got mock drafts out of Gibbe and Dr. Z. There you go. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospital's official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Phantom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get $50 in bonus bets when you place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. You guys got mock drafts. Are they turned in?
Zagura's back. He's a writer. It just dropped right as the show started.
Oh, my gosh. Your first mock draft.
First one of the year, man. First of many to come.
You know what? I am
with the written word.
The written word is your passion.
You know what they
do
say.
that not for monetary gain or fame, but rather because it is your first love.
I wear a lot of hats around here, right?
Yes, you do. You do.
You want me to go MC something? Boom, you got it. You want me to do a TV show about the Combine last night? Bam, you got it. You
Can't
want me
wait.
to be here on the radio all the time? You know it. You want me to call the games with Andrew Siciliano and Jim Donovan before that? Deal.
Done.
Got it. You want me to and sometimes, you wear a great many hats, right? You want me to go out there on the golf course and put on a show as a celebrity long driver? Sure, I'll do that as well. You want me to go, fly around with the Blue Angels and represent this company effectively? I'll put on the helmet. You want me to
lead a wrestling?
You want me to go out there and take a guitar and then defeat a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, and a giant?
Sure.
No problem. You want me to put on, sometimes I have to, you want me to put on a firefighter's helmet, as Jeremy and Akron pointed out, fight a few fires? I'll do that.
Fine.
Not afraid. So now you're saying what we need you to do is give us the mock draft that provides the clarity on how to get this thing turned around. You know what? I'll do that too.
That may have been the apex of the ball isn't going to spike itself.
And I'm sure I've left things out, to be honest with you.
It might have been
I'm sure I've left things out.
That was the Sir Edmund Hillary.
Yeah. Oh, you want to just have a good time? You want to come up here like Ashby and have lunch with me? Ashby, come on down.
Come on down.
We'll do it.
Whatever you need. Happy to help. How'd you see it going in your first mock draft?
Well, I don't even know what Gibbe's is, so I think it'd be fun if we go pick by pick, me and Gibbe. I have no idea what Gibbe's is.
You haven't seen Gibbe's?
No, or Kelsey's. So
okay.
I don't know.
Oh, you do? Good, because
what's G-Man got
on
in
my
there?
app, it's not coming up. Is it on?
Do you have it, G-Man?
We got it.
All right. So
let me pull up my account. So
at number 2.
Oh, here we go.
Riveting, Gibbe.
Sorry.
Number 2.
About as good as you talking to Senior Swag on text after he walked by.
Oh my God! What a
which one of us are you talking to? Because we both texted him.
I was so mesmerized. All right, I got it. I have.
Okay.
All right, first round. We have it set.
Can we get that
so we held
that? Can we get that?
Oh, Kev.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm always ready, guys. Don't worry.
That was good.
Throwing gas. Kev throwing gas, painting corners. That's unbelievable. All right, here we go. First round, the Browns hold the number 2 overall pick in the 2025 draft.
Can't argue with that.
They went alphabetical here, so Gibbe goes first. Gibbe goes first.
For last, I like it.
So Gibbe goes first, and Gibbe says whom?
Shadur Sanders, Colorado.
There you go.
If Sanders isn't there at number 2 and Cam Ward is, I don't think he will be there. Pick 2, FYI. You take Ward. I like them both. Either one immediately helps your franchise.
Yep.
Okay.
There
are a few more things as well, but
you need
Sanders.
QBs. Take one at 2. Take another one in the draft. Sign one in free agency. It's the most important position in the National Football League, period. Good insight out of Gibbe. Fine head honcho and a loyal listener of the program and participator of the program as the head honcho.
All right, who'd Kelsey take?
Kelsey went with Cam Ward. She writes, ideally, the Titans go in a different direction to leave the door open for the Browns to take the quarterback at number 2 without having to jump up a spot. Cleveland has to address their quarterback room. While they still could bring in a veteran, taking Ward here could allow them to develop him in the system and allow him time to grow. At the Combine, Ward displayed a level of poise and confidence during his media availability in which he discussed his leadership style and belief. His best trait was winning from the pocket, a skill set he continued to develop over his college career, which leads us to Dr. Z.
With the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select quarterback Cam Ward from the University of Miami.
You matter. I can hear Bernie saying it.
You matter.
Oh, even got crowd.
Yeah, the
great
crowd's
job, Kev. Great.
I like it. By the way, crickets for Gibbe. Sorry about that, Gibbe. Although if I had said Shadur, there would have been a loud ovation as well. So the Browns need to take advantage of their spot at the top of the draft with a legitimate swing at the quarterback of the future. Ward seems to be the consensus top quarterback in this draft, although I do have a ton of belief in Shadur Sanders as well. And the Browns take their shot on a quarterback who has a rocket arm with a knack for producing game-altering chunk plays.
There you go. How far did you guys go into this? Oh, you guys have second-round picks, too.
And third. We're getting 4 picks.
And third.
Oh, my gosh.
Hashtag content.
Content in the
Browns.
second round.
Click.
The Browns will pick first in the second round at number 33. And the pick is in.
He doesn't even know how that works. You don't even know how the draft works, Gibbe. This is unbelievable.
I wasn't sure if the computer had malfunctioned there.
No, Kevin's on it.
That's not on Kevin.
He's on it.
You still weren't going to do it right. You started saying wide receiver. You didn't start saying
wide receiver Matthew Golden, Texas.
Still did it wrong.
I like Golden a lot. Gibbe writes, after Jerry Jeudy, there are questions, health-related, about the wide receiver room depth. Getting another weapon for a new quarterback is important, and the Browns address the need early on night 2.
I can tell you what. His logic thus far, spot on.
I think it goes south the further we get into this.
Spot on. No, well, stay the course, Gibbe. Stay the course.
Kels, with her pick, goes Josh Connerly, junior offensive tackle out of Oregon. She said it's entirely possible that he's not here at the beginning of the second round, but if he is, the Browns could use this pick to address depth on the offensive line, one that dealt with numerous injuries during the season.
By the way, Gibbe, I'm not sure that link that I quote tweeted isn't working, unfortunately.
Kelsey's on it because I said the same thing.
All right.
That's why we had an issue at the beginning of the
And Dr. Z.
You know, they say defense wins championships.
Yep.
And I say the best defense is a good offense.
Oh, baby.
That should have been singled up there. What are we doing? Let's do it again.
Do it again. G-Man.
And I say the best defense is a good offense. And that's why we can add producing, directing. How many hats do you want me to wear, folks?
Ray's gone bye-bye, Egon. What do you got left?
Weapons. That's what I want. Weapons. And so I am now, I'll admit it, I've come a long way.
Oh, baby, have you? Bernie, you matter. Just
I know.
Yes.
Bernie's texting us.
Bernie does you matter. Let's go.
Knows.
Bernie likes both of these quarterbacks, by the way, Bernie is a savant.
Yes,
when it comes to understanding that position and the game. So
he's the best.
I certainly love that. So I listen. I don't know Josh Connerly from Sean Connery. Not interested. Not a weapon.
That's not true. You do. You know who Sean Connery is.
I said Sean Connerly. Don't know him. Never. That's not what somebody said last night, Trebek. Anyway, I am going with a weapon here because that's what I'm all about. Weapons. Can I get the sounder? With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select running back Travion Henderson from The Ohio State University. To me, this draft is all about getting the quarterback check. Done that. Now we're adding weapons for him. The last time the Browns took a running back at the top of the second round, it was Nick Chubb, and that was one of the best picks in franchise history. Henderson is a home run hitter who can change the game and score on any touch from anywhere on the field. Not only does he bring an explosive element to the run game that could complement Jerome Ford and the hopefully returning Chubb, but he also gives an element to the passing game that the Browns have not had out of the backfield in many years. Some would say since Eric Metcalf.
They'd love him. I mean, Kevin would love him. The blitz pickup stuff, all of it would be a home run. All right, we're on to the third round.
So far, I've given my draft an A+.
Oh my God, Gibby, what are you doing?
full of praise.
We're in the third round now. So now you have two picks. Of course, you did what you did at 94. God bless you. That'd be something if you were still there. So in the third round, Gibby, at 67, you have us doing what?
First defensive player for the team in this year's draft. Linebacker Carson Schwessinger, UCLA. Went from walk-on to all Big Ten. Good player. Good linebacker.
Like a Mike linebacker?
I don't know. It's a linebacker. We need a linebacker.
That's so great. You said, I don't know.
Hey, because you asked me to do a mock 3 rounds in. I don't know. We need a linebacker.
How would you know?
Where are we going?
You got
UCLA's
you got
one.
James
Let's
Hudson
go.
right. You got James Hudson right as a fourth-round pick a few years ago. So
I did.
Yeah. You also, and then you have your boy at pick 94.
Harold Fannin Jr.
Yeah.
Bowling Green State University. Come on down.
All right.
Let's
I like
go,
that.
Isaac
Okay.
Zumba.
The last line from Gibby on that, keep him in the brown and orange, baby. Gibby also a big on a lot of parenthetical from Gibby. I'm saying in your both single, like little postscript notes on your in your breakdowns.
Gibby, what is the name of this guy?
Harold Fannin.
No, I know him.
Carson Schlesinger. I think he's probably going to be a second-round pick. Schwesinger.
Let's see. Lance Zierlein went from walk-on. Did you? Oh, you may have quoted this. Went from
he did quote it, yeah.
To All-American at UCLA.
But I didn't write it. I didn't plagiarize it.
So he's a human bloodhound. Pairing elite instincts with an understanding of blocking schemes and run tracks. Pursuit speed is great. Sound technician, open field tackler. Schlesinger was a starter only one season, but his instincts, athleticism, and competitiveness helped him project as a future starter either inside or as a 4-3 will linebacker. Could have issues covering backs out of the backfield. Ability to drop weight, blah, blah, blah. Could cover ground zone. Good on kick coverage. Deciphers play action, mesh point shenanigans quickly. Doesn't say a ton about his coverage skills, and he doesn't seem like he's much of a pass rusher, but I like it. From Moorpark, California.
Kels at pick number 67 has us getting Quinshon Judkins. I think Kevin would love him, and that would make a lot of sense. And then she goes pick 94. She takes her first defensive tackle, Deion Walker out of Kentucky. The D
Good
tackle
player.
out of
Good player.
UK.
Good player.
Oh, this is a fun one for you. Go ahead, Dr. Z at 67.
Sounder, please. I'm going to do this professionally the whole way through.
I like it.
With the 67th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select tight end Elijah Arroyo from the University of Miami. You matter.
God, that'd be something. Two U's? The first three picks? Come on, baby.
Hold on.
Let's go.
What would our 12
Draft
personnel
them for
be?
fantasy now.
What would our two tight ends look like?
Oh, yeah, all you. You matter, baby.
This may be some wishful thinking to land the playmaking tight end from the U in the early third round. Arroyo jumped off the tape to me when I was watching Cam Ward film, and he offers a size and speed playmaking combination for the Browns at the tight end position. With a return to Kevin Stefanski's roots, the Browns will use more 12 personnel, two tight ends, to create mismatches and advantages in both the run and pass game. Arroyo would be a great pass-catching complement to the do-it-all Pro Bowl tight end and fellow Hurricane David Njoku. I could picture Arroyo playing a seam-stretching big slot in this offense and having a lot of success given the natural chemistry with Cam Ward. Mason Taylor and Harold Fannin are other tight ends I would consider at this spot as well.
Bernie, a U-Fest, you matter.
Does he love it?
Of course he loves it.
Ask him if he would sign up right now.
Oh, I think I'm sure he would sign up right now. I'm sure we'll get that.
I want Bernie should. This is one where I feel like I'm earning him being like, when he calls me Coach Z, I love it. Another hat for me, by the way, if you're keeping track of the hats at home.
Go ahead. Your final pick in the third round.
So, with the 94th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select wide receiver Trey Harris, Mississippi. I don't know if he's going to be there. He feels to me like he could be a riser by the time we get around to it, right, yeah. But I like him. And here's what I had to say about it. Weapons, weapons, weapons. That's the theme of my draft, is the Browns need to vastly improve upon their offensive output in 2024. You want a receiver with NFL size and speed and the ability to make big plays? Look no further than Harris, who was extremely productive in the SEC, averaging over 1,000 yards, 7.5 touchdowns, and nearly 18 yards per catch. Harris is great in contested catch situations, and at 6'3", has the size to win on jump balls in the vertical game. Lance Zierlein likened him to Alec Pierce, who, by the way, we pounded the table a few years ago. Alec Pierce, by the way, just led the NFL in yards per catch. With his combination of winning size and speed, that's the comp here for Trey Harris. He could be long gone by the time we get to draft day, so some other field stretchers in play at wide receiver could be Isaiah Bond from Texas, Jalen Noel from Iowa State, and Jack Beck from TCU. But that's what I'm talking about. Quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, boom, bang, boom, score the football.
I believe the Browns play-by-play voice takes exception to all of these picks being offensive players. He just texted you. Only 3 teams allowed more TDs last year than your Cleveland Browns.
Why? Hey, by the way,
can I tell you something?
Where's
not
your
a
mock?
single team scored fewer points than the Cleveland Browns. So 3, if you were to track this out over time, infinitively more than 0.
More than 0, yeah.
Infinitely.
Where's Andrew's mock?
Hey,
where's your
that's
mock?
in this week's BPA that dropped today as well
Okay.
with
God,
Mr. Siciliano and I.
BPA gets a little love.
Wherever you get your
Scored fewer
podcast,
points.
kids, episode 3 out now.
I'm
Not
sure it'll
a
drop in.
single team scored fewer points than the Cleveland Browns last year, not to mention the fact that the top 12 scoring teams in the league all made the playoffs. I don't know about you. Feels like cause and effect. Score the football, go to the postseason.
Here's another cause and effect.
Your little
Shefty's saying that
gyrating
the
is
Titans
great
are
on
releasing pass rusher Harold Landry, and that would certainly, if there is no trade at the top of the draft, make people think, what are you doing?
How do I get this off here so I can drop the mic?
No.
Oh, don't
No.
do that.
No,
don't
no,
do
no,
that.
no.
It's already problematic. I can just
You
tell
dummy.
by what
What are you doing?
you dummy from Gibby.
That is hurt. That, by the
He's
way,
thirsty, Gibby.
where's Mike Nicholas? That feels like an HR violation.
Good. 2 B's and Gibbs when you fill out the paperwork, and he's going to agree with me.
No, he fixed it.
would
I think he
not.
fixed it. I think he fixed it.
It's
right
already
back
right
up.
back. I don't know if you guys saw it, but after John Cena's great heel turn at the Elimination Chamber this past Saturday, he came in to do his post. Now they do press conferences after the events.
Oh, yeah.
And he just came in and he grabbed the mic and then dropped it and walked out. That's what I wanted to do.
Do you think that they do they stay in character for the press conferences?
Some do, some don't.
Some do. It depends on the situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like The Rock if I have one note for the great one, and I don't often
Boy,
have
that's a
notes
bold
for him.
strategy for
I
you.
know. Just like, you're not playing a character. You are the final boss. Don't be like, oh, I get to play this character, the final boss.
Because he wants to still frontline movies and still do all that
But
stuff.
you don't have to say everybody knows it. We all know it. I get it.
Yeah, I think it's for more the kids.
Then the kids aren't going to believe you when you're doing it.
No, that transition from like the kids who are all in on all of it to the kids who kind of know some of it, like he wants to keep his appeal there. I think is what it's about. I'm with
also,
you.
It sounds like he's trying to be the TKO board operator like he is when he goes in those press conferences instead of sticking with the storyline.
I love being the final boss is the best. Love the final boss. Big fan of the final boss.
Let me see what he's up to.
I think he's the best. Greatest professional wrestler of all time. I just want, like, it's so good. I don't want to hear that you're playing this character. No, you are the final boss. And by the way, you can act however you want. You've earned it.
He is he's on a bit of a downturn on the box office front.
He's doing just fine, dude.
No, I know. But like I think there was a time when people thought he was going to be like Schwarzenegger.
I just don't think that exists anymore.
Well, I think it should.
I agree.
I think the kids love it.
I agree, but just doesn't seem to.
Yeah.
By the way,
when he does the Disney stuff that it's big hit.
Moana.
Yeah. I mean that obviously the biggest,
You're welcome.
the best ones.
G-Man.
Really good in Jumanji. The 2 Jumandis he's great
fantastic.
in. Yeah, very good in the 2 Moanas.
He's great in a lot of movies, by the way. Scorpion King, fantastic film.
Didn't see it.
Really? Mm-mm. The Rundown?
No, didn't see it.
You never saw The Rundown?
The rundown is unbelievable.
Rundown is awesome.
Little lightning, little thunder.
No, I didn't see it.
Stifler's in it?
Stifler, baby.
That poor.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, G-Man.
He's kind of like the guy playing Costanza. Like he's just Costanza.
He's Stifler.
Yeah,
and
Stifler.
I mean, Jennifer Coolidge has become a breakout star, but she's still Stifler's mom.
She always will be to me.
Yeah.
I told you that story about that girl at Florida State who looked exactly like her at the peak of Stifler's mom-ism. And I always felt so, except she was like 19.
Yeah.
And I just felt everybody called her Stifler's mom. And I thought, I don't know if that's what you're looking for at 19.
I don't think you are.
Probably not.
No.
Tough beat.
No.
Tough beat. All right.
Hold on
stuff
real
to do.
quick.
You got
G-Man.
12 seconds.
G-Man.
G-Man did a 7-round mock yesterday.
Of the 3 mock drafts that you just heard, who is your favorite?
Well, I know where this is going. This is
Nathan Zagura.
Why is little
G-Man?
Why is G-Man on a mini seat?
This chair, because I'm.
You see how tiny he is coming over? He comes over like he's like
the chair's broken.
Cheers, bro.
We're having a whale of a feel-good Friday. I'll tell you
What
that.
a time to live. Brian Wacker on the Ravens coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, Hour 2, Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We continue our AFC offseason preview season reviews. Brian Wacker, Ravens beat writer at the Baltimore Sun, joins us on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted. Cleveland, Brian, thanks so much for taking the time. You had a front row seat for one of the most statistically overwhelming seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback, perhaps Lamar's best season ever. What was your view of what he did this year on the field for the Ravens, and how much we keep wondering, like, how much better can he get? And then he has a season like the one he had last year.
It really was spectacular, guys, and thanks for having me on. Yeah, I mean, look, the season before, when he did win MVP, he was terrific. He was in command of the offense, made plays with his arm, his legs, seemed to make the right decisions in a lot of cases, had some really just big games. And then he comes back this past season and is even better. And I think, a lot of that, it really is two things. It's certainly the addition of Derrick Henry made, a big difference. I don't think that can be overstated, but also the continued evolution of Lamar Jackson. I mean, this guy in the second year of the offense under Todd Monken seemed to expand his game, was really, really good in the regular season, only had the 4 interceptions, 41 touchdown passes, career on passing yards, over 4,000 yards, first team to throw for 4,000 and rush for 3,000 in a season, third all time in total yards by that team. And yet it sort of was confounding, because then when you get to the postseason and you go to that divisional round loss in Buffalo, it was sort of the same old story. Mm-hmm. And he had a couple costly turnovers, obviously the Mark Andrews drop, and we all saw how that played out in the Mark Andrews fumble. Both of those guys have had some struggles in the playoffs, and the margins are so thin when you get down to those final 4, final 8 teams in a conference, and yet this team continually seems to make these mistakes, these head-scratching mistakes that they really hadn't made most of the year, even when playing some of the best teams in the NFL during the regular season. So it was a Jekyll and Hyde kind of moment in that regard, but Lamar, I think, is nothing short of, look, this guy is going to be a Hall of Famer. Yeah. He's one of the 2 or 3 best players in the sport right now, and who knows, maybe he'll be even better this year.
I mean, he was spectacular. We saw it, historic. I was saying all along, the only reason he didn't win the MVP, it's because I think when you get to 3 of them, you have to at least make an appearance in a Super Bowl before the Academy will award a third in that regard. But he was phenomenal. I have to ask, though, because, and I say this obviously a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm very disappointed. Actually, I'm not tongue-in-cheek at all. I'm very disappointed Todd Monken didn't get a head coaching job anywhere. How surprised are you that he's actually back with the Ravens? Because he certainly is deserving.
I would say mildly surprised. And I say that with no, sort of disrespect to Todd Monken at all. We've seen what he's done these past 2 years with this offense, taking them to a elite level. That said, you look at the trend of coaching hires around this league. I think going into last year, the average age was something along the lines of 47 years old. And that's about a decade younger than Todd Monken. And look, it's guys, if this was 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, I think he'd probably have gotten a head coaching job. But this is a copycat league. It's a trend league. And these teams seem to fall in love with, the young assistant on a hot team.
Sure.
And we've seen that play out over and over and over. And then when you look at also just the opportunities that were out there weren't really a lot of great fits, I think, for a guy like Todd Monken. Not to say he couldn't coach anywhere in the league, certainly not the case. But, I would say if there was one that surprised me, was perhaps maybe Jacksonville seemed like that could potentially be a good fit. Trevor Lawrence and what he could maybe bring to his game in a place that's essentially South Georgia. And Monken, with all that success as the offensive coordinator at Georgia with a huge fan base in that region for that school and certainly familiarity with Todd Monken. So that was a little surprising in that regard, but wasn't a finalist for that job. And then, other jobs started to dry up pretty quickly. So in the end, I wasn't terribly surprised, and I think every year that goes by, it's going to be harder and harder for him to land a head coaching job.
Brian, what does the offseason checklist look like? What are the focal points? What are the things most important for this franchise to take that next step? They've been knocking on the door for a long time now to take that next step and get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, talking with Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh after the season, look, I think it's going to kind of be run it back. You're not going to see them make any big free agent splashes the way they did last year with Derrick Henry. A lot of their core pieces, they've got under contract. They'll be back. Now, they do have 18 unrestricted free agents, but among that group, there's just 3 starters. And, of course, the biggest of that is Ronnie Stanley, and he is one of the top free agents, or would be one of the top free agents available if they don't get an extension done before next week. So that's sort of what all eyes are on with the Ravens. He's been their, Lamar Jackson's blindside protector since they drafted Ronnie, a couple of years before Lamar. And, he is integral to that offensive line, which also has a free agent in Patrick McCarry, the left guard. So, they've got some pieces on that line that they need to get figured out, and namely Stanley and McCarry. Beyond that, I think you have to look at their cornerbacks, and we saw that during the course of the season. They struggled on that front with Brandon Stevens in particular, who was sticky in coverage, but really struggled to find the ball and then got, kind of picked on more and more as the season wore on. And to me, guys, I think one of the big things to look at would be an edge rusher, right? Look, they had Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Owe had career years last year, 2 guys, both double-digit sack guys. But, when teams game plan for them, I mean, are those guys that they're game planning against the way, somebody would against a Myles Garrett in Cleveland? So to me, having a premier pass rusher would be something I think that would help elevate them to that next level and maybe put them over the top. I think, Justin Nnamdi Madubuike, he took a little bit of a step back in terms of pressuring the quarterback this past season. So if they can get him back closer to that guy who had 13 sacks, that would be a huge difference. So to me, it's really it's putting pressure on the quarterback and then also being a little better in coverage. So again, finding a cornerback, finding a safety, and kind of shoring up some of those holes. To me, that's sort of priority 1 and 1A.
When you look at the offense, and obviously we talked about how great Lamar was, what Derrick Henry meant to this team, and how rejuvenated he was in this is sensational, 5.9 yards a carry. I think one of the guys that kind of slid a little bit under the radar in terms of, maybe delivering on some of the promise they saw in him when they took him in the first round was Rashad Bateman. What did you make of his kind of breakout season, and where does he kind of fit in here, short term, but then also long term?
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting with Rashad because they signed him to an extension last year. Great value for the team, but here's a guy who went out and had 9 touchdowns, career high in yardage, somewhere I think in that 600 or 700
756
yard season. So, 756. So, there's a guy who, look, he's got all the skills. He's got the talent to be the one, a number 1 receiver. Now, they're fortunate they have him and Zay Flowers. So you sort of have a pair of number 1 receivers there. Flowers, their first Pro Bowl selection at the position, and a guy who's coming off a 1,000-yard season. To me, it'll be interesting to see because, look, that is a expensive market to have a number 1 level receiver. Certainly, Bateman is not there yet with the numbers, but you do wonder what that contract will look like as he plays into this season, if he has another big year, and then, what they ultimately decide to do there. Could he be potential, could they look to maybe move him at some point if it becomes obvious that it's just not going to work out. So I think a lot to figure out on that front. I think for the upcoming season, they're in good shape. Certainly with Bateman and with Flowers, of course, had that injury at the end of the season and should be back fully healthy for this season. So Bateman, to me, though, guys, he's a guy who has all the skills, and he might even be a guy who flourishes elsewhere, given, all the injury history and so forth, and talk about chemistry and things like that with Lamar. Or he might be a guy who's about to break out. So it'll be interesting to see.
Brian, always interesting. Always learn a little bit more than we did before we had you on. So thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Brian Wacker, Ravens beat reporter at the Baltimore Sun, joining on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. All right, do we want to hit these? We've got some categories here on the Ravens. Favorite Ravens uniform?
Because it's a cheat code, but because they are the Ravens, and the Ravens are black.
It's not a cheat code. The Ravens are black.
They are. So the all-black Ravens is, I think, a spectacular look.
I agree. And they don't wear it that often.
No, not as often as I'd like them to.
They really like the purple over white. They wear a lot, but I think I even see like the black over white. But the all-black, mono-black is
so good.
They're a team that should have that.
They are the Ravens.
They continue
to
be the Ravens.
I will quote them nevermore.
No, you will not. Would you host Ravens Daily?
Yeah.
I mean, it's winning a lot.
It's a lot of winning. Monken would be hanging out with us in studio all
back
the time.
In the mix.
But you have to deal with Simone.
Oh, God. That alone. I'm out. I'm not going to work in the same building as that guy again. That's enough.
I enjoy tracking the stock of the Galan.
The Galan was constantly down.
Way down.
I'll do the show remotely from Annapolis.
Great city.
What grade would you give the Baltimore? You got 3 airports. You could fly into BWI, but there's also, you could do Reagan, you go Dulles as well when you go to Baltimore.
Which airport would I fly into?
What grade would you give the Baltimore airport? I love flying into Reagan, but I mean, there's something about that that's cool. Not
there
recently,
is,
but there is.
It's also something perilous.
Tragic, yeah.
And tragic. BWI, I've only flown in and out of as a commercial person maybe once or twice. I
never have. I've always flown into Reagan.
I have a recollection of you drive up and it's a huge kind of sweeping terminal that you're right out in front of. That was, I think I had a nice experience there. I don't know. Let me tell you something. There aren't good airports.
I like Minneapolis. It's not bad. Charlotte's got rocking chairs. Nice. It's not bad.
Detroit's pretty underrated.
For the most
Detroit
part,
is very good. Detroit's very good.
Detroit's a nice airport. Good, yeah. But for the most part, what you're hoping to do is get in and get out.
I'm saying, though, like when it goes south, Reagan is great for like when it goes, if you're delayed or whatever, that's a good place to hang. It's a good hang, and you're close to a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
You get to restaurants, hotels quickly, which we did a couple of summers ago. Which Ravens player not named Lamar Jackson would you want on the Browns? God,
Kyle Hamilton.
So much talent.
Kyle Hamilton.
I mean, in terms of wounding them, Derrick Henry ran for 1,900 yards. I think he'd be pretty good in a wide zone set here.
Sure. But are we thinking of like for 1 year? I just think even Kyle Hamilton. I think he's going to be
a great player, yeah.
Superstar for years.
Roquan's a stud, too. I mean, they have so many. They have a lot.
Zay Flowers wouldn't be a bad one either.
Zay Flower, weapons. What grade do you give a road trip to Baltimore, gentlemen? I love Baltimore.
I'd give it an A+. I love it.
I do, too. I think it's great. That area is great. You can head out to Annapolis and be inspired by the Naval Academy and all that comes with that. It's awesome.
We've had great food there. We've had great times in our favorite establishments. What's the name of that place, Gibby?
The Horse You Came In on Saloon.
That's right. It's a
great place. Saloon, yeah.
We've had pizza that's almost gone astray. Pizza eating incidents.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I bet you do.
Do you guys say right on the harbor?
Yeah, which is great. Azumi's right there, which is a tremendous meal.
Yeah, the harbor's awesome.
I had a great meal there last year. Love eating there. And then when we went out, so there was a pizza. So we go into this pizza place, and it turns out there are competing pizza joints.
Okay.
Like across the street from each other.
All right.
Some of us go into one, and who was with you, Gibbe?
I don't recall.
I know you don't. Probably that's fair. It seems fair. So Gibbe went into the other pizza place. So we're in our pizza place getting our pizza, and Gibbe walks in with pizza from the rival joint.
I'm not eating it. I'm not eating.
Well, you just have it
it's
in
a box.
Oh,
Weren't
baby.
you gonna eat it though? We were sitting there eating. I think.
No, I was waiting
because
I was waiting on you guys.
Were you gonna eat it just out in the cold? We were all eating our pizza in there. So the guy, the purveyor of this pizza joint, tatted up his neck. Was not happy with Gibbe. It means I'm not trifling with him.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah, for sure. That's a choice.
Yeah.
And he said, kindly leave?
He basically said something to Gibbe, who initially gave him a little bit of lip.
Oh, you gave him the lip back.
And then
God
we're
bless
all
you.
like,
you're formidable,
we're
Gibbe.
all like,
yeah.
And then the guy was ready to like, and we're like, no.
Gibbe's going, come on.
I don't know. That's allegedly.
It's not. There's nothing allegedly about it. But, oh, baby. Yeah, so cooler heads prevailed. Obviously, pizza was eaten and enjoyed. But Baltimore is a great city.
I've
had
Baltimore.
A tremendous time.
And there's a lot of great bars. Federal Hill.
It's fun.
I had one of my a great day in my life in Baltimore. It's a good town. I like that city.
I do
really
too. I like that whole area.
I think there are places you watch The Wire, and there are parts of Baltimore you don't want to encounter.
Yeah,
but as long as you're not in,
that's every city.
But it's every city, of course.
Everybody has that. Yeah,
it's humanity.
But no, it's good. Favorite Raven all time. Ed Reed for me.
I plead the fifth.
Ed Reed is pretty cool.
He's so cool, man.
Ed Reed is pretty cool. I remember at Edgerrin James Hall of Fame party, he was wearing like a wooden hat. Like
who's telling him no? You gonna tell him no?
But it was like a beautiful wood. It was like mesmerizing. And then he DJ'd. Ed Reed would be up there. I would have to say, even though he's not a Raven, I wouldn't consider him, and that'd be the third team. Like when Dion was on the Ravens, it was pretty good, even though he's number 37.
37, because that's how old he was, right?
Yeah.
Interesting that both Dion and Rod Woodson, who I think are the starting corners on the NFL All-75 team, they're both on that team. They both finished in Baltimore.
And Rod Woodson does their games, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Which is wild because he's a Steeler.
Yeah,
for
Dion's
sure.
a Cowboy 49er.
It's weird.
Falcon.
I think of him as a Cowboy
so
most.
The Ravens would be fourth.
Well, he also played for the Redskins.
I don't remember that at all.
Dion played for the Washington Redskins. Yes.
To me, so if you're ranking Dion's teams, Falcon?
No. Cowboys 1, Niners 2.
Falcons 3.
Falcons 3, and I only played for the Niners for 1 year, but it was the best he ever was.
Unbelievable.
And that uniform with the
great,
drop
the
shadow.
94.
Come on, that was
that
was crazy.
I'd also say, and I really liked him, he's a Carolina Panther, but I also really liked Steve Smith as a Raven. Noted.
All right, the mailbag is open. We're going to go around the league. A lot of news around the league.
Joe Flacco as well.
Joe Flacco as well.
Know him. What a guy.
Yeah, and he could be coming back here. Who knows? We'll go around the league coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk and Elk Serious Lawyers, Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Still time to get your questions into Gibbe for round 2 of the mailbag. We'll get to that in about 8 minutes from now. We do want to start, though, taking you around the league, presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. We talked about this off the top of the program. The Bengals have given star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson permission to seek a trade per Adam Schefter. They're reportedly seeking a late 2 or early 3rd-round pick in return. That's the thing to remember, because when you sign Hendrickson, you then have to pay him. And this is the thing with as good as he is, and he led the NFL in sacks. He's great, but like the teams that would be in the who is a star pass rusher away from winning the Super Bowl? And that's what you have to think about. Buffalo comes to mind, obviously.
Buffalo, Detroit, and the defending Super Bowl champions would all be in on him for sure.
Yeah, but you also have to pay him, and do they have the room to do that, those teams?
So
Philly, I can't imagine would. They've been slicing salary left and right.
Philly's very good at they work the cap very well. They, in many ways, do kind of what the Browns have done, except they have hit on the quarterback portion of it. So when you go all in like that, they went all in and they've won. Here, pull this up. Cap space.
One of those two sites, either Sport Track or the other one is doing it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which one it was, and my laptop's dead. So I
Eagles have about 19, or I'm sorry, the Eagles have about 21. The Lions have 51, plenty of room there. Where are the Bills at? The Bills are not in a great spot for it, but they can always,
find ways.
I'm sure, figure out a way to do it. Ironically, the teams that would now maybe the Chargers have a ton of cap space. The Commanders,
Commies, yeah,
have a ton of cap space. Vikings have a lot of cap space.
The Chargers are, like Harbaugh said it, like we got to support Herbert, like we got to get him weapons, we got to protect him.
Yeah, but that way you can draft them. You can probably it's not a great free agent crop anyway. You're not going to have to spend a ton of money in free agency anyway. So I think that would make a lot of sense for them. I like that.
I wonder if the Chargers would do Harbaugh and Harbaugh crime and go after Ronnie Stanley. Buttress up that offensive line.
That would be great. Why not?
Should benefit us too. Get him out of here.
Get him right on out of here. Somebody signed Macari too. Overpay him.
Yeah.
Hurt their line a little bit.
Get gone.
Yeah, I think Lions, the idea that they could have Hendrickson and Hutchinson would be pretty formidable.
Them, the Ravens, the Bills, they are all in.
Ravens don't have the...
No, I'm not talking about spending. I'm saying those teams, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Lions will go into next year with so much pressure to take advantage of a Super Bowl window.
Yes.
Those three teams.
Yes.
Because everybody else who's a contender has either won one or I think this is kind of a transition year in San Francisco. Even if they get their guys back healthy, like they're going to be a lot of new faces there.
Yeah.
Whereas those ones are largely running it back. Something didn't work in the postseason, but right back at it. And then there's big pressure on those operations for sure. The Texans have acquired wide receiver Christian Kirk from the Jaguars in exchange for a 7th-round pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
At first they were reported they were cutting him, right?
Well, yeah.
And then that's what you do. You say we're going to cut this guy, and then you hope somebody jumps in and
get a 7.
Yep.
Speaking of cuts, the Commanders have released defensive tackle Jonathan Allen. At one point, there was thought that he would be in the deal for Debo, and instead he walks.
Yep.
So Jonathan Allen is available as well. The Jaguars released a bunch of players: Ronald Darby, Devin Duvernay, Evan Ingram, the biggest name of all of them. He was released yesterday as well, as teams are trying to get salary cap compliant and have ability to be malleable when it comes to their roster. This is an interesting report out of Rappaport. I missed this. The Vikings want to build a team around Sam Darnold and are still negotiating an extension with him.
So to me, if that's possible,
what do you make of that?
If that's
really
possible,
interesting, well, then that would tie into like JJ saying, "Yeah, I'm good."
Then, if that's the case, then that changes all of your calculation. That says, okay, where are you on? What's our evaluation of JJ McCarthy? And at this point, what does it take to get JJ McCarthy if they do go in on Sam Darnold?
Yeah, that is the first time we have heard that out of their camp.
I don't believe.
I have not heard that. We didn't hear that at the Combine. They played it pretty straight at the Combine.
Yes. No, they said JJ was the guy.
Building a team around Sam and having JJ sit is a choice, man.
It would be a choice, and they may say, we're not trading him or anything. Maybe even if you have Sam for 2 more years, JJ, you'd still have that would be 3 years he'd sit. You'd have year 4 and year 5 because you get the 5th-year option, 2 years where you even have to pay him another deal. But that feels like, I don't know if they would go that route, but if they were to go that route, I don't think you'd have to give up the number 2 pick for him. He wasn't even the number 2 pick in his draft, and he is coming off of an injury. And, is there a world where you could trade 33 for J.J. McCarthy? And then at pick 2, I would probably try to trade back. If you did that, I would try to trade back and pick up, get your second-round pick back and still have a first-round pick, and you got McCarthy, draft a playmaker,
Yeah.
One of the receivers or
Trev
or
Let's
Genty
go.
or Warren or Loveland, and
away we go.
Away you go.
Bobby Wagner re-ups in Washington, 1 year, 9.5 with $8 million guaranteed. Bobby Wagner, here's your obligatory Bobby Wagner is better than you realize comment. He is an 11-time All-Pro.
I was going to say, then your realization is not good.
6-time first team, 5-time second team, including last year, 11-time All-Pro.
How many seasons?
I think it's 13 or 12.
Is it
12 or 13?
At one point, he's first.
Oh my God, he's
first ballot.
Yeah, 11 All-Pros, 6 first teams.
So Bobby Wagner, 10-time Pro Bowler, 6 first team. Yeah, this is what I thought. This was the answer I was trying to get. So it's 11 total.
Yeah, 6.
And it's 11 straight.
It's 11. Yeah,
it's 11 straight.
Yeah,
it's 11 straight. He's had 100 or more tackles in every season that he's played in the National Football League in 13 years. His 1,838 tackles lead all active players, obviously. His Pro Bowls, his All-Pros lead all active players, obviously. He is an incredible, incredible performer.
You want to hear from Rap Sheet, by the way, on Darnold? I think we have that clip.
Yeah, if we have it, yeah.
Yeah, that's really a fascinating thing to think about, Judy, because obviously the Vikings have basically said they would like Sam Darnold back. It's going to be less than the franchise tag, but still they would like him back at a manageable number. They can build the team around him. But it's not unprecedented, but there's not a lot of precedent because they'd like to bring back a starter who is a free agent, who, as they've said, has earned the right to be a free agent. But if he comes back, J.J. McCarthy, who they really like, is right there. So if Darnold holds him off during training camp, they'll have to split the reps. They'll go into the season, and everyone will know if one quarterback falters, whoever wins, the other one is right there. That is a tough situation for both of these guys. Darnold is an absolute pro and handled it incredibly last year, having really a career year. But J.J. McCarthy wasn't out there last year. The Vikings are going to try to do the absolute best they can with 2 quarterbacks. They really, really kind of hold off on putting J.J. out there just this 1 year. They can do it. They are very, very good. There's a little bit of a challenge here.
Okay, so hearing him say that is much different than reading the comment.
Yep. That also sounds like a quarterback competition.
By the way,
that's a quarterback competition. That's very different than what.
But you can't. What are you paying Sam Darnold to get?
Right. Listening to that makes me say, hey, if nobody else wants you, we will take you back at a discount, a raise from what you got last year, but a discount, and you'll have to compete with JJ. That's the way I read that.
Yes.
Clickbait. We got clicked.
Yeah. That's different than the way that just sounded. All right, we'll hit the mailbag coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Country Mortgage Company, official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they'll always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Hello, Gibby.
Hi. First things first. What?
Just the way you said hi, man. I don't know. That tickled me.
That's nice.
Hi.
Hey, baby.
What do you want?
We haven't talked about LeBron airing his grievances to Stephen A. last night.
I didn't know if we were going to talk
because
about
Stephen
that.
A. talked bad about his son.
Look,
and LeBron couldn't take it.
Well, no, I think LeBron could take it. Then he just went up to him and said, if you have something to say, just say it right to me. And he confronted him at a Laker game. I think in this instance, though, I will side with you because I think if you are a man in the arena and you get the kid into the arena, all is fair.
Right. He's not talking. He's talking about an NBA player.
He's talking about an NBA player.
He's an
not
NBA
talking
player.
about your son anymore. And I think, that with the victor comes the spoils, and I think these are the spoils of it.
Yes. I thought it was interesting how aggressive it was, or certainly appeared to be. I wasn't there. I also liked, did you hear who Stephen A. Smith said he was at the game with?
No,
yes.
I missed this.
Larry David.
LD?
Yes, he was sitting.
See, LD loves that stuff, though. He loves, he's gone on Simmons' show. He's been on Eisen. I think he loves that sports debate stuff. He loves it.
So he must.
He does.
So he was with Stephen A. when this happened. He was there with.
Oh, I didn't
Larry.
notice that he was next to him. That's great.
So Stephen A. took a very measured response. I think had that's been anybody else in the league that had done this, he would have probably had a different response. And listen, I think you're exactly right. He is an NBA player.
Yeah.
Without LeBron, he's not an NBA player.
Nope.
And I think that is not even a debate.
No,
That's not meant as a slight. It's just
that. Yeah,
it's
it's
just is what it is.
Yeah.
There's going to be some natural criticism of that.
Of course.
So I was actually surprised how in his face and upset he was about it. It surprised
a father
me.
and a son.
Well, that's what he said. He spoke to me as a parent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But at the same time, they're in the arena.
Yeah. And by the way, Stephen A. said it this morning. You have my number. Let's have a conversation about it.
I think it was one of those things where he saw him. It was visceral. I don't think it was some big arranged thing for LeBron to go at him.
He saw him. He's like, hey, by the way,
sorry, he saw him.
I've heard.
Dude, yeah, I think it was more like that. I don't think it was some big setup.
I think he Will Smith them a little bit. He said, keep his name out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Can't. He's an adult.
He's in the NBA. I think one of the things that's really hard, and I think I was listening to Portnoy had a video about it where he was much more not on LeBron's side in it. And he said, I like LeBron. He said, I'm positive when I'm positive. I'm 50-50 with him. But when you are that transcendently great, when you name your child your name, it's asking a lot. And I think LeBron has said that in hindsight maybe he wishes he had not, because then you're trying to live. But didn't Michael Jordan do that?
Marcus, the one that dated Pippen's ex-wife was Marcus, and then was the other one, was it Jeffrey? And he's Michael Jeffrey Jordan, so it's Jeffrey. Yeah.
Okay, but that's just a tough junior to be. I mean, it's never gonna be.
No, and I think, I just stand by what I said. I think if you bring him into the arena, then he's a man in the arena. Yep. He's no longer just your son. He's more than that. And I know you can't separate that as a parent. I understand. If I'm a parent and someone goes at my kids, you would do anything, and I understand that's a parent, but
I do think as long as, and I don't know what this is in response to. Do you?
No, Stephen A. made it a point on the show this morning to say we're not friends. We say hi and bye to each other.
Well, they don't. Yeah, I mean, he's a journalist who's become a pundit and has become the face of the network.
A brand.
Yeah, him and McAfee are the face of ESPN. Yeah, but he should be. He is the face of him and Pat McAfee. They are the face of ESPN and sports. I mean, it's those guys, and it's probably Troy Aikman and Buck to a lesser degree, and the College Game Day guys. That's their brand. But it's Stephen A. and Daily. It's Stephen A. Smith and it's McAfee. Those are the face of ESPN. So how that used to be a whole group of people who did Sports Center and a whole group of people who do this. It's singularly them now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't know what was in response to, but I think I struggle with this in my job sometimes, right? As long as you are just being an analyst and you don't make it personal, if he's saying, pointing out maybe some of Bronny's deficiencies at this level relative to other players in the league at this level, that's not a personal thing. He's just being an analyst. If he makes it personal, then I could see LeBron being more upset. I would imagine LeBron's smart enough to know, like, Bronny's only in
Can
the
you
NBA
have the
because of
Bronny
LeBron.
conversation, though, without acknowledging that he's in the league because of his dad, and that's why I don't know how
That's
you
where
it
came from, guys.
Yeah,
so when Stephen A. was, like, explaining it, and they played a clip of him back when he said, like, Bronny stats and stuff, the real issue in the conversation, what Stephen A. was trying to get to was blaming LeBron for putting his son in that position.
So you phrase it that way, then it's a little bit personal. Now, it's also a real statement and a real assessment of the situation.
It's a fact, yeah.
It's a fact. And I think LeBron would have to, on some level, know deep down that had I not demanded we draft Bronny James, he's not getting drafted in the NBA.
Well, no, and honestly, like I remember Chris Holtmann, then the coach at Ohio State, they brought Bronny to Columbus because they thought maybe, and I remember him reaching out to me, how do you think we could handle this? Like, could Columbus handle that? And I said, yeah, I think, honestly, it might be the best place for him because no matter who he is, he would not be as big as C.J. Stroud or whoever's quarterbacking Ohio State at that time. He just wasn't going to be to that level of fame in town. Like, he could probably have a relatively normal college experience in Columbus as a Buckeye basketball player. But that LeBron and Savannah were very, very, very cool to deal with, very easy to deal with. They wanted a normal experience for him. They kind of came in under the cover of night and left without anybody knowing. They like the social media stuff, but that was kind of it. But in the end, he's LeBron James Jr. He is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he's playing for Sierra Canyon, Los Angeles. Like, why does he want to live in Columbus and as great as that is, and Buckeyes and all of it? But, like, meantime, I can go to SC, and I can date supermodels, and, I mean, like, why? What are you choosing?
Yeah.
So that was kind of it. And so he went to SC and averaged 5 points a game, and that's the way it worked. But no, he's not. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough spot.
All right, time for the big question because we're up against it here. We got to break in about a minute.
Yep.
From Browns Fanon MD2. More transformative, Tecmo Bowl or NHL 95?
It's not. So you don't have it right. It's not Tecmo Bowl. It's Super Tecmo Bowl. Super Tecmo Bowl is the game changer.
Because that's when you had every team.
That's when you had every team, and that's you had 8 plays versus 4. So Super Tecmo Bowl is the standard. NHL is not in that league for me.
No, and I thought NHL wasn't it NHL 94.
NHL 94 was the one where you could make Little Wayne's head bleed.
But wasn't that NHL PA, or was it always NHL?
I think it was EA Sport. I think it was EA NHL 94.
NHL PA.
It might have been PA. I can't remember. I can't remember. Super Tecmo Bowl was a game wrecker. I'll tell you, there were several. Like the very first time I played,
was NHL PA 93.
I remember 94 was the first one I remember. I remember Coach K College Basketball being one I played a lot of.
Really?
Oh my God! On the Sega Genesis, Coach K College Basketball was awesome. Awesome. Yeah. They didn't have Carolina though, but they had like 35. Of course, he's smiling. But they had the real players. They didn't have names, but their numbers and their values were assigned. It was a fun game. A lot of fun ones.
Hopefully, a boat racing tomorrow night.
I would think so.
I would think the way that they're playing right now.
Carolina very much on the bubble. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, there you go. Legal Tampering Monday. And away we go.
Giddy up. Let's go.
By the time we reconvene on Monday, where do you think I will be in Severance? One episode in.
I hope that you're like at episode 6 or 7.
30.
That's where I want you to be.
I can't get that far.
That's where you need
if
to
I
be.
could get to if I get to 5 by Monday, 4 or 5 by Monday, that would be a win for me.
Okay.
But I'll have to sacrifice
You're gonna
something
see
else.
though after like when you start getting to 4, you're gonna be like
Then the momentum swings.
more next,
15.
next.
Right. Speaking of next, guess what's next? The next level.
Beautiful. Have a great weekend.
We're back Monday. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.